All right, so now we're going to talk all things Donna Adelson trial. You've got a second channel too, right? Are you going to be streaming that as well?
Yeah, we have a sister channel called Courtroom Confidential Live Trials where we just stream the trial live. And I try to pop in here or there. It's not like you're going to be watching it and following it and commenting on it. We just kind of stream it, and then during breaks I'll try to break in and give a little bit of commentary. But it's just a place for people to get together, the community, and be in the chat and watch the trial.
And they can find the channel if they go to your channel, Courtroom Confidential, and you go to the links, or on your website, right? Which is thecourtroomconfidential.com.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thecourtroomconfidential.com, or it's called CC Live Trials on YouTube.
Okay, nice. So I will link that as well. Everyone, I've linked Josh's channel in the description box, and Nightbot is also put to work to put that link out throughout the stream. Okay, so yes, I'll be making eyebrows throughout the trial. What? I'm so excited to watch this trial and like, what is going on here? So let's talk about Wendi Adelson's testimony. So I am so glad that we could pick your legal mind, because I was trying to relay this to everyone. Yesterday, there were some glitches on YouTube and the streams were buffering, and so that did not work out. So I made it short, and I was talking about the motion to quash. I forgot to say the word subpoena. So Wendi Adelson successfully quashed a subpoena.
Yes.
To testify for the defense at her mother's trial. So it's not for everything, right? It's just for the defense, and that means she'll still be testifying for the state. Is that right?
Correct. So the place to start to understand this is that Wendi Adelson has a Fifth Amendment right not to testify at all. And she doesn't want to testify. I mean, she the last thing in the world she wants is to be on the stand talking about any of this. She knows she's under investigation. She knows the police have been watching her for over 10 years now. She doesn't want to testify. So she could say, if the prosecution just subpoenaed her, she could say, I'm going to claim the Fifth. I don't want to testify about anything. I've got a Fifth Amendment right to keep my mouth shut. So in order to compel her to testify, the prosecution has granted her what's called use immunity or derivative use immunity. All that means is that the prosecution cannot use the words that come out of her own mouth against her. So whatever she testifies to in court, they cannot then take that and use that as evidence against her if they wanted to prosecute her. Doesn't mean they can't prosecute her. They can prosecute her for other evidence, for other things they know, other things other people have said. It's just whatever Wendi says on the stand, they cannot use that use immunity against her. Because they've granted her that immunity, and she didn't ask for it. Believe me, like, this is something they're putting on her. She no longer has a Fifth Amendment right at play, and they can therefore compel her to testify. So she's done that before for the prosecution. In this case, however, Donna Adelson's team have also subpoenaed her to be a defense witness. They want to call her. And Wendi's attorneys have said, listen, we want you, Judge, to quash that warrant or that subpoena, because we don't have immunity when it comes to the defense. The defense has not, and cannot grant us immunity. Therefore, she's still got a Fifth Amendment right when it comes to the defense subpoena, and she doesn't want to testify. She will claim the Fifth, and we don't want you to allow some sort of breach of her immunity deal with the prosecution. The judge said that makes sense to me and quashed the defense warrant or defense subpoena, All that means, though, is that she's still going to testify. The defense can still cross-examine her and ask her questions, but they cannot call her in their own case in chief as a witness and ask her other questions. So the way it hurts Donna's team is that they are limited by the direct examination of the prosecution. So the prosecution can ask her a bunch of different questions. The defense can get up, but they can only cross-examine about what the prosecution has asked her. They can't get into a bunch of other stuff. And if they do, you can be sure that either the prosecution or maybe even her own attorney might start lodging objections because they want to keep it within the confines of the prosecution immunity agreement. So that's the way that it limits it. She's going to testify, though. I'm positive about that. But she's going to testify as a prosecution witness.
And what would the strategy be to have her on if they were successful in having her on as a defense witness, would they want to point the finger at her away from Donna, or what would that strategy be?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, is what exactly does the defense want to ask her that they don't feel they'll be able to get into on cross-examination? So I don't know. I mean, maybe that is part of it. Maybe the defense, I mean, you know, a natural defense built into this case for Donna is, I didn't know anything. You guys were going about doing a bunch of stuff on your own and nobody really told me. Usually you would see in these types of cases, if it wasn't family members, that they'd all just be pointing the finger at each other. So you have to wonder, is that what Wendy's worried about? Is that somehow the Donna's team will get into questioning her about stuff that she doesn't feel comfortable answering that might implicate her? But I think more than anything, it's Wendy's defense team just being smart. They realize, listen, they realize just as much as all of us do that the prosecution wants to charge Wendi. Like, if they're not going to immediately arrest her after this trial, I think we'd all be surprised. Everybody knows they've been looking at her for years and that she's somebody that they intend to indict or want to indict. So they're very nervous about Wendi testifying. And I think they just want to make sure that anything she says cannot be used against her, and they don't want to risk that at all. And this is just part of that strategy. I think another thing to keep in mind is that this isn't new. She actually filed a similar motion back in 2022, and it was granted at that time as well. So this has kind of been the way it's worked out in the past, and it's not going to present any kind of surprising issues this time around.
Interesting, because that is what I was wondering. It feels like, ooh, as the case is, I don't know, heating up, climbing the ladder. You know, now we're already at the matriarch, Donna Adelson. Like, oh, okay. So if Wendi only now had an issue after all the times that she's testified, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what do you not want to say now?
Listen, I imagine that they have as much as they're going to get against Wendi, they already have it. And I imagine that if they feel like they have enough to file on her, the only reason that they haven't brought charges against her is that they're being patient like they were with Donna. I think that this prosecution, for whatever reason, strategically, they have decided to kind of wait to do this person by person, you know, and it's been falling domino by domino slowly. And so I don't think the fact that she hasn't been arrested at this point is any indication that she won't be arrested. But I don't think that they're waiting for a last piece of evidence to come through. I think they've made a decision whether or not they're going to file on her. They're just being patient about it.
Right. Rob says, Josh is a true Grizzly, and by that we mean an honorary Grizzly. We like to vote in honorary Grizzlies, like when we're watching trials and we see, oh, this witness, look at this detective. She's definitely a Grizzly. And then it becomes she's an honorary Grizzly. And I just want to put it out to everyone that obviously Josh is an honorary Grizzly.
I appreciate that.
You know who I feel sorry for if Wendi gets arrested is, of course, the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this whole family's been ripped apart, but you want to talk about the people who are really going to suffer the most. It's the kids. They've lost their father. They've lost their uncle. They're now likely going to lose their grandmother. Their mother, even if she doesn't get arrested, they're going to forever live with the idea that their mother may have been involved in their father's murder. And if their mother does get arrested, they may lose their mother. So it's just a tragedy beyond tragedy of what these kids have been put through, and all over stupid, selfish stuff. It's really a tragedy. What
a dumb plan. That's why so many have been arrested. Like, did you really think, Maestro Charlie Adelson, you really thought you were the maestro? No one will know. They're not going to catch all of you. I mean, it took some time. This case is 10 years in the making, even more. I mean, it's really taken a long time to get here to Donna Adelson's trial. Imagine if there will be more. Another side question, even though I have prepared questions for you, is do you think that Donna's husband, Harvey, will ever be arrested?
Yeah, that's another good one too. I mean, I am of the theory, after having followed this for a little while, and I have not been one of those people from the very beginning either, but I've followed it in the news and I've been following it much more closely lately. I've come to the conclusion that certainly when it comes to Wendi, I just cannot imagine Donna or Charlie taking it upon themselves to murder Wendy's ex-husband, the father of their grandchildren, of their niece and nephew, murder that person without somehow receiving some sort of approval from Wendi. That is just my personal kind of take in assessing this. And I think the prosecution feels the exact same way. Now, they may have proof of that, but I think they also fully believe that. And I think the same goes for Harvey. I don't think that they were able to do all this, make the payments, the conspiring, the planning, the cover up. I mean, she's getting on a plane with Harvey to go to Vietnam on a one-way trip. You don't think that they're having some sort of discussion about what this is all about? So I think with Harvey, the question really comes down to, you know, same thing. When did he know, and how much did he know, and when did he know it? And it may be his best case argument is that he wasn't in on the planning, but he was an accessory after the fact. But I just feel like there's no way they plan this and move around that kind of money and do this whole thing without him at least having knowledge of what was taking place.
Right. I mean, on the day that Dan Markel was shot, that evening, Donna was driven by Harvey, her husband. So Donna and Harvey went to Charlie's house to drop off the literal laundered money, washed and ironed and everything. Okay, dropping off the money. And that makes me wonder, okay, so it's not just like we heard on the call, that hot mic moment after the bump and Donna being like, ooh, it involves the two of us, you know, saying that to Charlie. So I'm like, oh, so maybe it is just Donna and Charlie. But no, Harvey drove there with her to drop off the money. So he must know something.
The one interesting thing, though, is why didn't they arrest Harvey when they arrested Donna? Like, they had them both at the airport.
Yeah.
They both got tickets to go to Vietnam.
It showed that.
Why did they decide to only arrest her? That doesn't really make sense to me. But again, this prosecution, I think they're brilliant. I think they've done a tremendous job, but they're also doing this not in a very traditional way. Usually in these types of cases, when you have these broad conspiracies, they arrest everybody. Like, everybody's arrested. Everybody's charged in the same case. Maybe they don't go to trial at the same time, but the idea that they've waited and been patient to arrest people later on is kind of remarkable.
It is. It's a very unique case, especially in that way. Like, oh, wow. And what's the end of the road here? Yeah. Let me quickly show everyone this. I won't show the whole thing. I mean, it's 26 minutes, but just this little clip. And then I have one question for you as it's about a minute or so. Let's be there. So everyone, this is Donna Adelson, and this is her husband, Harvey. And she actually said on a recorded jail call to her son after the son was convicted and sentenced to LWOP and all that, she can't do it. She's going to she's looked up non-extradition countries, and it's Vietnam, and they're going to go there. And she said on the stand later, for peace. But anyway, so she booked this one-way ticket, and here's Donna, here's Harvey, and just look at the next few seconds.
Hi, how are you? You have an ID? Cell phone? No, I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to give it to you? Why do I have to give it to you?
Attorney, already. Now, that's my question. The way they grabbed her phone, do you think already at that point they had a search warrant, right? They could do that.
Well, they can seize the phone because it's a what we call a search incident to arrest. So if somebody gets arrested, you're allowed to seize whatever's on their person. You can take their phone, their wallet, their purse, whatever's on their person, and immediately hold it. And there's reasons for that. They don't want, people destroying evidence. They don't want them, trying to further perpetrate crime or something like that. And then I am sure they secured a warrant for that phone. If they didn't have it already, they secured it immediately. But it is funny to me. I mean, she's surrounded by big guys. Those are guys with guns on their hips. And she's fighting them over that phone. Like, to me, there's something on that phone.
Yes.
She really does not want them to see. And in that panicked moment, the first thing she does is try to keep that phone away from them. It's pretty incredible.
I think it's interesting, and we might hear about some of that evidence. I always
Yeah.
do like, when Uncle Google comes knocking, like they're going to get you. And what else was on that phone? What calls, what texts? Because I don't think we've heard all of it yet between everyone that's already one pleading guilty and the others being convicted. This is the fifth person now, everyone, that's facing a lot of time. My goodness. So I think we're going to hear some interesting things in this trial that we haven't heard before. Do you also?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're certainly going to hear much more about the conversations with her and Charlie, I think, are going to become much more important. I mean, some of the stuff that we haven't heard before is because it wasn't material to those prior cases, but now it is going to become pertinent because it has to do with what did Donna know and how much was she involved in the planning. So I think we're going to hear a lot of that. I think we're also going to hear a lot about her conduct afterwards and after the murders, certainly the time after Charlie was arrested, her communications with him, even up to the point that, she was communicating with him within days of his conviction before they had, they purchased the tickets, a week later or something, or they purchased them and they're looking to board a plane a week later. So I think we're going to get a lot of insights into all of that, her kind of consciousness of guilt behavior.
And that's, I suppose, going to be up to the jury to decide what that means, because she said she was just going there. It would be easier to come back if they wanted her to do that. And she was just going there for a break, for peace. They've got friends there. They've been there before. That's what the defense will say, right? But I mean, it really doesn't make her look great that you've got a one-way ticket after your son is convicted.
No, my experience is jurors really cling to that type of stuff because jurors naturally kind of put themselves in the position of the defendant and go, what would I do if I were arrested for murder and I was innocent? How would I behave? And it's usually not get on a plane to Vietnam, a one-way ticket. I think the part that's going to really, I'm trying to think of the right word, but really catch her on all of that, though, is the fact that it was a one-way ticket. If it were a round trip, and it's just so funny, had she paid just a few extra bucks for a round trip ticket, her defense attorneys would get up and they say, what are you talking about? She was coming home in a week. Her son had just been convicted. Her life's fallen apart. She wanted to get away and she was coming back in a week. She didn't sell off her home. She didn't, close out her bank accounts. She was going away for a week. And now you're trying to say that's a guilty person, but you buy a one-way ticket. I'm sorry. That's
so silly.
That's an effort to flee in my view.
That's another dumb move. All the other things were also already like, wow, really? But this was just, oh man, and saying it on a jail call. They are all recorded and they know it. Why do you so badly need to tell Charlie that? I'm glad she did though. Very glad she did. Okay, Mary's asking a question that's on my prepared list here as well. So let me ask it now. So Mary, firstly, thank you for being a member for 5 months. Thank you also to all the patrons and everyone who saw my YouTube short where, Josh, if you didn't see it, Willow, your Uncle Josh to our cats. So there, I asked you guys if you want to submit some questions, and you did, which is why I've got prepared questions based on everything you were asking. So Mary says, Josh, can you please tell us about the jailhouse daughter who has now taken a deal to testify for the state? Heard this from a reliable source.
Yeah, there's been a person identified who is a quote unquote jailhouse informant, who is someone that Donna has had contact with since her time in custody, that is going to be called as a witness. And I don't know if we know the full extent of what that person's exactly going to testify to. I will say this, people have a real tough time keeping their mouth shut, especially when they're in prison and they've got nothing to do all day long, but worry about their own circumstances, worry about their own case, worry about why they're in jail. And they start talking to people and they start, befriending people, or they think they have people who are confidants, and those people are going to, turn around and snitch on them as soon as they can get themselves a deal. What it will really come down to, I think, as far as whether or not what impact this will have with the jury is, when a witness testifies, their veracity is always at issue. So how much can we trust the word of a person who's already a convicted criminal themselves for whatever reason? We don't know what crime she's committed, but now she's probably getting some sort of benefit from the government for testifying. I do not think she's doing this for free. So we want to know what benefit is she getting, and do we feel that that's enough to cause that person to just make stuff up? But I will say, in my experience, sometimes these jailhouse informants, in custody witnesses can be incredibly impactful because they just come across as like, I don't care if you believe me or not. I am telling you the truth. And I've seen them be, star witnesses in cases before.
Oh, that's going to be so interesting. Like, I can't wait. And I hope they have it like later, like first show the one-way ticket and build up all this circumstantial evidence they say they have. Okay. And then let's whip out some emails, calls. Let's hear the jail calls, moments, hot mic, all of that. And then you bring in the jail daughter. I mean, again, Donna, really? You trusted that person. You trusted them. You made a friend in jail and you trusted them, or they're going to turn on you just like that if they're going to get reduced time, if that's what the deal could be. I mean, I don't know why she thought she could trust that person. Shame. But I'm looking forward to that testimony. Mary says, thank you, Grizzly and Josh. Thank you so much, Mary. Really appreciate that. So one of my questions is, the prosecution relies heavily on circumstantial evidence like emails and texts between Donna and Wendi about the custody battle with Dan Markel. How challenging is it to build a compelling case without direct witnesses implicating Donna?
I think I've seen incredibly powerful cases just built on circumstantial evidence. I mean, we talk about this a lot, that circumstantial evidence for whatever reason gets a bad rap as though it's like somehow less impactful. I've seen circumstantial evidence be very, very impactful. I mean, when we're talking about the difference between circumstantial and direct basically means somebody who saw the crime take place, right? I saw this person shoot that person. I heard from my own mouth this person give the order to kill that person. That's kind of direct stuff. But the rest of it is all circumstantial. And this case is going to be a specific kind of circumstantial evidence, which is circumstantial evidence of her state of mind. So it's why would a person, talking about the bump, let's say, why would a person who feels like they were just contacted by a member of a gang who's saying that they need to do right, why would they immediately go contact their son and implicate and have this kind of very suspicious, carefully worded conversation with their son rather than immediately go to the police? And that is because it's circumstantial evidence of what was taking place in that person's mind, is that person is likely involved in some sort of bad behavior that they're worried about, right? So a lot of this, the emails, the conversations, her behavior, the what they were doing with money, all of that is circumstantial, but I think it builds an incredibly strong case. And we've seen this, the case against Charlie was circumstantial to most, to the greatest extent. Now there was Catherine McBanois who testified, but for the most part, it was all circumstantial too. But I think it also demonstrates that, in my view, and I've said this before, this is probably going to be the greatest test to date for the prosecution. Doesn't mean it's a weak case, but with each case that they've done, they've gone one more degree of separation away from the trigger men, right? You start with the actual shooters, and then you went out to the middle woman with McBanois, then you went out to the guy calling the shots with Charlie, and now you're out to Donna. So they're just going to have to show one more level of connection going forwards and backwards to make all of this work. I love that.
Right. And actually, as I bring up my little chart, which I actually like to update you guys, I just want to make it a bit, we'll update the font and everything. But Robert Adelson, the estranged son, isn't he set to testify at this trial? He hasn't ever testified before. That's what I heard. That is going to be interesting. I'm aware at this trial.
Yeah. That's going to be a crazy, that's somebody that doesn't get talked about enough too. He's the kind of one sane member of the Adelson family. And he's on the witness list, and we expect to hear from him, and who knows what he's going to tell us. It's going to be crazy.
I think it's going to be better than the jail informant. Come on, Robert, tell us everything. I mean, so he moved all the way up north, New York, around there. And he's estranged from the family. He must be really looking at all this now like, holy crap, I did the right thing. Distancing myself from my own family.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, it's definitely, Rob said, that is one fine looking chart. Thank you, Rob. I'll try to make it look even better for when we're ready for, I don't know, when do you think opening statements will be? I know they anticipate Friday. Do you think it could be Thursday?
I think they will definitely have a jury by this week. They may start opening statements as early as Friday. I think if I'm one of the attorneys, I hope they don't. I kind of hope that they pick a jury, let everybody have the weekend, come back on Monday, start fresh, because the last thing you want to do is kind of start your opening statements and then send everybody home for the weekend. You know, you kind of want to do your opening statements and then jump right into the presentation of the evidence. But, you know, Judge Everett's the one in the black robe and I'm not, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have opening statements by Monday next week.
Right. Actually, I sometimes think about that type of strategy, just to think, well, yeah, opening statements and then send them all home. They'd be like, what? Yeah. Okay. And then they can't talk about it. I mean, I try to set my husband down the other day. Let me tell you. He was like, okay. I'm like, just listen. He gets briefed. He's not even into true crime. I'm like, let me just tell you how crazy this case is. So I can only imagine the jurors going home over the weekend and being like, wait, what am I part of now? And they can't talk about it. So yeah,
and they're gonna hear, you know, opening statements are not evidence, so they're gonna hear a bunch of stuff that who knows how true it is. You kind of want them, get them into the evidence, and then let them have a weekend to think about it.
Yes. Also, this is a good one. Kathleen said Donna needs to take the deal. Now, there's only rumor that there was a plea deal offered to her if she would implicate Wendi. But is there any substance to that rumor? Have you heard anything about this?
I have heard a lot about it. It kind of made the rounds as being big news. I will say this. I fully believe the conversations have taken place between the prosecution and defense talking about a plea deal. But I do not believe that the prosecution would have offered the deal that I had heard that was to be offered was if she was willing to testify against Wendi, that they would give her time served, meaning she would walk. I don't believe that the prosecution would offer that. This prosecution has been so professional up until this point. I just cannot see them having a woman that they feel orchestrated a murder that they're looking to put into prison for the rest of her life and then say, I'm going to give you a deal that allows you to go free because if you implicate somebody else. For many reasons, I don't think that would be true. Not the least of which being, you imagine if they actually did that and then they called her as a witness during Wendi's trial, the defense is going to be like, wait a minute, your deal was you go free? Well, of course you'd be willing to implicate anybody if they told you would go free. So it doesn't even give any value to her testimony. But I do think that they've offered her something. I think that, you know, maybe her cooperation is worth something to them, but it's certainly not worth time served.
And do you think there's still an opportunity for some sort of deal before this trial kicks off or during it? It would have to be before, right? Before opening statements.
No. I mean, cases sometimes settle in the middle of trial, not unheard of. There's no rules against it. I would be shocked. But a lot of trials settle on the 11th hour. You know, people get nervous, but I don't think that's going to happen here because there's nothing. You have to think about what would they offer Donna that would possibly make her want to not take her chances at trial. And it would have to be something where she imagined she could get out of prison one day. And she's advanced in age. I don't think they would be willing to offer her a small enough number of years that she feels like that means I could get out of prison one day. I think whatever they offer, you know, if they were to offer her 20 years, that might be seen as a good deal if you're Wendi, but 20 years for Donna basically means she's dying in prison anyways. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude about it, but, you know, just given her age. So I think she thinks I'm going to take my chances, you know, whether they offer me life for 20 years, I'm going to take my chances.
Right. She's 75 now.
I think so. Yeah. In her mid 70s, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, even if it was 5 years, it's still a lot to still spend there. I mean,
yeah. And it's rough on her too. I mean, I think she just thinks go for broke on this.
Yeah, exactly. Ether Bunny said, Kelly Ziegler, a Houston prosecutor, describes circumstantial evidence as holding a handful of pencils and trying to break them. Each one could be broken, but not all together. Thank you so much, Ether Bunny. Okay, so Charlie, oh my word, Charlie Adelson, now serving a life without parole sentence, is listed as a potential witness, given his claim of being extorted, double extorted during his own trial. How might his testimony impact Donna's case? And do you think he'll testify for the state or for the defense?
I know this is going to disappoint a lot of people. I don't think he's going to testify at all. And I know they've transported him out to Florida. I know that he's arrived in Tallahassee. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One, he still has a Fifth Amendment right. He's still got appeals pending. He doesn't have to testify. And also, he is such a loose cannon for the prosecution. What they called him, he did testify in his own trial, and they called him a lying liar who lies all day long. Now you're going to call that same witness and say, I want you to believe the words that come out of his mouth now. I don't know what he could possibly give the prosecution that would move the needle enough to get into the mess that he might create. Could I be wrong? Sure. I invite everybody to send me a note telling me I'm wrong if he does testify. I don't see it happening.
You're a YouTuber now. If you're wrong, they're gonna tell you.
People know where to find me now.
They will be sure to tell you, and on repeat.
Everybody's taking notes. Remind Ritter when he's wrong.
Yes. We'll all go over there, Grizzlies. You were wrong. He testified. Oh man. So I mean, yeah, I don't know what value he could really add, and I guess he'd be in jail clothes, right? If someone incarcerated, am I correct about that? If like Catherine McBanawa testified, like she did after being convicted, she was there in her jail outfit. So would Charlie also be?
I imagine so. I mean, usually the only reason they're dressing somebody out, Donna's in custody too, so she's in a jail outfit. The only reason they dress them out is usually when they're the defendant and they don't want to give these kind of inappropriate optics to the jury that they see a person who's already in jail outfit and they think, well, they're a prisoner anyways, and that somehow influences them. But, for somebody who's going to come into court as a convicted felon, I imagine he'd come in his prison outfit. I've only seen it done that way.
Yeah, not a great look. Also, speaking of dress code, imagine Donna. I'm looking forward to just seeing that acting going on. Imagine the little granny outfits, little glasses. I'm just an innocent granny. Like, what do you mean?
There was a photo I saw earlier of her. It looks like they're back in some sort of room with the judge, and they've all got their laptops out and they're starting to go through some of the jury selection. And she is in a sweater. I had said, get used to sweaters and tissues, because she's just going to be in these kind of granny outfits, dabbing her eyes through the whole trial. I wouldn't be surprised if she, I don't know. They're going to put on a bit of a performance, I think, when it comes to her, because optics do matter to jurors. She's the star of the whole show, right? The jury's going to be watching her the entire trial. Every time something impactful happens on the stand, 12 sets of eyes are going to dart over to her to see how she reacts to it. So her demeanor in court and even the way she dresses in court play a role.
That's going to be interesting. I actually worry about that impact on the jury, because if she's like this innocent little granny, I mean, sometimes, because I can be snarky, if I snark at the defendant, people have really defended Donna. Like, why are you even snarking at a granny who doesn't have a bra in jail? And I'm like, hello, like, Stefan Stern's in jail and this one in jail and that one, everyone else. Why is she special? Right. But people feel sorry for her because of her age, because she's a grandma. So that's interesting.
It's an excellent point, because she is going to testify. And I think that part of the reason they want her to testify is for that reason. I think they want her to get up there and look sympathetic and look like an older granny who would never harm anyone. And, she's going to cry and she's going to turn to the jurors and say, I had nothing to do with this. You got to believe me. This was my son-in-law. These are my grandkids. I would never harm anything to do with them. And she's going to put on a whole performance. And I think that that's all part of it.
Then they're going to see the bump. Then they're going to hear the calls. Then they're going to see a one-way ticket to Vietnam.
Emails and
then we're going to have Robert.
Exactly.
The emails. The emails. We're going to see what she maybe Googled. We're going to see so much. So I'm pretty confident in the state's case at this point, but you never know. Mary said, is there anything that the state can get Wendi on if it comes to light in this trial, or does she have total immunity and nothing will happen to her?
No, she does not have total immunity. Again, it's kind of hard to understand, but she is not given like blanket immunity to ever be prosecuted. If they have evidence on her, they can and will charge her regardless of what she says on the stand. What they've granted her immunity for is for the words coming out of her own mouth when she testifies. So if she says something in her testimony that they didn't know independently, they don't have any evidence of independent of her saying it, they cannot use that against her. But if they have independent sources for anything, they can use all of that against her. They just cannot introduce her own testimony as evidence against her in a future prosecution.
Which then becomes quite difficult to prosecute her because, for example, I think a lot of us here in this community know about derivative use immunity because of the Madeline Soto case and her mother, Jen Soto. She had one police interview where she had derivative use immunity. And so anything she said in that interview, they couldn't use against her. But now we're like, now what? So it's interesting that everyone wants Wendi also, arrested. And here again, she's got derivative use immunity, but she's been on the stand multiple times. So imagine the amount of words she said and emails she's read and things she's done that they can't use against her now.
Well, again, they can't use it as long as they can use it as long as they have an independent source of it. So here's an example. Let's say there is an email between her and someone else that implicates her. Okay. And they have that email independent of her testifying. Just because she testifies, I sent this email saying X, Y, and Z. It's not like all of a sudden they can't use that. They can use it because they have an independent source of it. But what they can't do is if for the first time ever, she gets up there and says, I don't know, something they didn't know. I got a phone call on the night of such and such, and they don't have any independent evidence of that. They cannot use that statement of that new information that she said on the stand. It's really a tool to compel her to testify more than it's a tool to protect Wendi. I was asked a question on my channel. Well, what if she gets up there and she admits that she was in on the murder? Does that mean that now she's protected herself? Absolutely not. She could get up there and say, yeah, I knew this was going down. And as long as they can prove that independent of her saying that in court, they can still prosecute her for it. So it really is just only a way for them to make sure she cannot claim the Fifth Amendment and they can make her testify.
Interesting. Yeah. So everyone's understanding. Night Owl 64 said, I love how clear you explain the law details. Now I understand better her level of immunity. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Grizzly, for your wonderful channel. Thank you, Night Owl.
Thank you, Night Owl.
That's why we call Josh. You're my phone a friend. Every time. Like, Josh, we need to understand this. All of us freaking out. What is happening here with Wendi? And will we see you on the stand? And will she wear the same outfit? That's quite a strategy of hers.
Great one. Somebody caught that. I love that.
Yeah.
I think Tiffany pointed out she read something. This is totally an aside, but that it might have been a clever way for her to protect her internet searchability so that when you look her up, you only see the one dress and you think she's only testified once. Whereas if she's wearing several different dresses, you'd be like, how many times did this woman testify? I don't know. But that was a very good catch, whoever made that catch.
That is a good point as well. Yeah. And she's in full actress mode, wearing her same outfit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying, if I'm not snarking, you're not watching. Don't worry. I got snark for Donna. When she first got arrested, she's like, I don't have any silverware. Obviously, you're in a smock for a reason, for your own safety, based on what you said on jail calls. Yeah. So you're not getting silverware and you don't have a bra. So don't worry, everyone. The snark, I've got it ready for us.
You're locked and
loaded. My eyebrows will be going. Yes. Let me ask probably a dumb question. In some cases, we see where there's multiple defendants that they can't bring up things from previous trials. But in all these trials, they seem to be able to bring up the whole narrative. Is that because it's a conspiracy to commit murder or, solicitation? Why are they able to tell the whole story from Sigfredo to Louis? I know they can testify as well, but why are they able to bring in so much from all the other defendants or now convicted people?
it's not a function of the conspiracy, because each trial stands on its own, and they still have to, whatever's introduced in court has to still satisfy the rules of evidence. It's probably that they're finding some exception to allow those pieces of evidence in, but do expect to hear from the same kind of cast of characters that we have heard from in the past. Like that's something important to understand about this too, is these jurors need to have it proven to them that a murder even took place, right? Like, it's not like we start from chapter 5 and everybody already knows what took place in the previous 4 seasons. Like, they have to prove from the inception, who was Dan Markel? Who was Wendi Adelson? Was he murdered? Yes, he was. Who committed that murder? These 2 gentlemen. Well, what's their connection to the defendant here in court? Well, they were connected to her son by this woman named Catherine McBanwell. Well, who's she? Well, we need to hear from her. What, then we need to hear from, how did it get from Catherine to Charlie to Donna? They need to connect all those dots. That's why I'm saying this trial might be a little more complicated, because they have to go that one more degree of separation away from the actual trigger men, and then show, how did Donna, was she aware of all of this? Was she part of all of it? And then how did her involvement make its all the way back down to the trigger men as well?
Oh, what a crazy case. Have you tried to explain this case to someone who doesn't know about it at all?
No, you need to set aside an hour or 2 of their time to just get the facts.
Literally, just quickly. I tell my husband, just quickly. 2 hours later, my bad. You understand the case now. I mean, one thing someone also mentioned that I missed. Yeah, and 1776 daughter, this will be a wild trial if they all testify. There was a comment that flew by. I'm so sorry I didn't see who said it, but oh my goodness. Then Wendi also wrote a book. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Why does she write a book with a storyline that's so parallel to the story? Why? And will that ever come in as evidence?
I don't think it's going to come in this case. Why did she write it? Because I think this family is a remarkable example of how narcissism can run in your genes. I don't know. I mean, it really is incredible to see one family with so many sociopaths in it. I'm no psychologist, but this is what I would call sociopathic behavior. And I think that same type of person who would plan the murder of her own husband and the father of her children just because she didn't want to live in Tallahassee is probably the same type of narcissistic personality who would write a book about it. So I don't know. But as far as that coming in this trial, very highly unlikely. But if she is arrested and goes to trial herself, for sure they're going to try to get that in. That shows, consciousness of guilt. That shows her circumstantial state of mind. It shows a lot of stuff that I think could be important to her trial if she ever is tried.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Look at the time. That goes so fast. We've got Josh for an hour, everyone. We've got him just for like 12 more minutes. Dawn Marie said, I didn't watch Charles's trial. I only know the basics and saw some old clips. Looking forward to watching this cold as a juror with my Grizzly fam, filling up the snark tank to get ready. I do want to say that in the description box is a link to the trial prep video that I did a year ago now. So you're going to see a blast from the past. The lighting was all wrong, everyone. I look very anemic. Go check it out, though, because we did a deep dive because Donna's trial has been delayed. I mean, let's talk about that she had the same attorney that Charlie Adelson had. I mean, wouldn't that be an obvious conflict of interest and delay? Or is that the strategy?
No, that was a total mess. And I applaud Judge Everett for doing the right thing, even though it was a huge inconvenience, even though they were about to start trial. It was the right thing to do. The only criticism I would give to anybody is why didn't they realize this incredible conflict ahead of time? Like, there's no way. There's no way that they could not have realized that was going to create a potential conflict, because he did represent Charlie. Like, it is not unheard of for attorneys to at one point represent 2 people and then realize that they can't. So then they bring in conflict counsel and then they only represent one person. But when you've represented one individual, had their trial, now a separate individual is going to go on trial, and that person may call this other person as a witness or may try to implicate that other person. there's just conflict problems all over the place. And the judge did the right thing and said, we're not doing this. We're not playing this game. New attorneys all around, start from scratch. And if we have to kick it down the road, we have to kick it down the road.
Right. Okay. So jailhouse phone calls, recorded calls between Donna and Charlie, especially post-conviction discussions about fleeing or wanting to end one's own life, are central to the prosecution's case. How critical are these recordings, and what challenges does the defense face in suppressing or contextualizing them?
The jailhouse recordings can be incredibly impactful, and it really obviously depends on what she's saying. But in my experience, some of the most powerful evidence you're ever going to have in court against someone is words out of their own mouth. Whether that is statements that they made while on the stand, whether that's something that they said to an officer during a recorded interview, or even better yet, when they're being recorded and they don't know that they're being recorded. And it is incredible to me that still, how many times are they warned on these jailhouse calls? Yes. You're being recorded. You're being recorded. If you've ever listened to these recordings, you're interrupted maybe every 30 to 90 seconds saying you're being recorded, and still they think they're clever. They think if they whisper that somehow that won't be, I mean, it's just incredible. And they'll say a bunch of implicating stuff. And that is really impactful stuff because the jury feels like they're hearing admissions of guilt from the defendant's own mouth. And so it's very powerful stuff. For the defense, they're going to have to find some way to spin this. They're going to have to say, no, that's not what they're talking about. You're reading into that. You're manipulating what they're saying. What they're really saying is X, Y, and Z. But that's going to be really difficult. But it might be one of the reasons that Donna is going to testify to explain all that, because nobody else can explain what she was really talking about but her.
How did I not bring that up yet? So we've heard that Donna is going to testify. Yeah. That's one of the defense strategies. I mean, I think that's actually a good idea, right? Giving the whole granny act that she might do. So, but what do you think about that? About her taking the stand, and how long could that take?
I think I think there are only rare circumstances where a defendant taking the stand is a good idea. I think in a self-defense case, it's almost necessary because they have to explain to the jury what were they thinking in those critical moments. But in the case like this, it's a real risk. And that is because even innocent people, even honest people have a difficult time testifying. I mean, it's tough to get up there and testify. And it's tough to be cross-examined by very experienced people. So even when you've got your story straight, let alone when you are guilty and when you are trying to hide a bunch of lies and keep all of your lies straight, it just never works. It's a complete high wire act. And look at Charlie. If he's any example, she should have learned from him. He was incredibly well prepared. Say what you want about his testimony and him being a liar or whatever else. He was prepared. Like, he had answers. You may not have liked the answers, but he had answers. And even he went down in flames. So I can't imagine what she's going to say, but I think they feel a couple of things on this. They either feel that she's necessary because she's got to explain some of her own behavior. She's got to explain the bump. She's got to explain some of the emails. She has to explain that stuff to the jury, and she's the only one to do it. Or, and this is something else that people may not realize, the one thing an attorney does not have control over strategy-wise is whether or not their client testifies. They could be telling her behind the scenes, Donna, please don't testify. And she could be saying, I want my day in court. And they have to let her do it. So it could be that as well.
But why are they saying it now already? You know, before we even get to that point. That's a
great question too, is usually defense attorneys are very kind of tongue-in-cheek and very kind of, oh, maybe we'll make a decision, but they've already said no, she intends to testify. Doesn't mean she's obligated. They could change their mind, but I was surprised that they were that upfront about it to begin with.
Right. Now, you know, on YouTube, a week is actually like years, right? So do you remember years ago when I was on the Sidebar podcast with you on True Crime News, and I felt shy for saying that Charlie was prepared, that he seemed to be doing quite well, and I think he thought he did well.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said that, because he was performing. He was prepared, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your assessment of doing well. I thought he did well in the sense that it didn't seem like there were any questions he didn't have an answer to. It's just the problem was his answers were just so fantastic, you know, that you couldn't believe them. But you know, he presented well. He answered the questions. He didn't, you know, he had a good demeanor about him. It's just his story was such nonsense that it
And he was
went
so
down in
shocked.
flames.
But I mean, no
you remember,
one.
Alec Murdoch? You remember
Yes.
his testimony?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I thought he was a very good witness for himself. He was very straightforward and had an explanation and cried at the right moments and everything else. It's just he's a liar and everybody could see that, but he testified well. And that's what I mean. Very difficult to pull this off.
Right? Unless you have a Jim McIntyre defense, like Nicholas
Right.
Casotis.
Oh,
Oh my word. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was pretty incredible.
Wow. If no one has watched, if you haven't watched the Nicholas Casotis trial, everyone, we just finished the trial recently. Oh my word. Go see that guy take the stand.
Yeah.
No, do not lie like that on the stand. The jury was like, within 1 hour, guilty on all counts, all 12. Where do we check the boxes? That was crazy. Right. So I wonder what's going to happen here with Donna. It's going to be interesting. Let's quickly see. There's one more question. Unlike Charlie's trial, Donna's defense lacks direct witness testimony implicating her. How can her team leverage this? So how can her team, because it's a new team as well. She's got Jackie Fulford and Joshua Zellman. I wonder if she's comfortable with them yet. I would hope so. Now, how can her team leverage this? And what are the biggest hurdles that they face in convincing a jury of her innocence, given the circumstantial evidence?
Well, that is going to be the central question of the whole case. Is the defense is going to say there is nothing directly linking this woman to these crimes. The prosecution just put on a case for 2 weeks and they didn't give you one witness who said Donna said kill Dan Markel, or one witness who can tell you she knew about his, you know, they're going to drive home that kind of lack of, like you said, direct evidence linking her. And the prosecution is going to say, are you kidding me? You didn't hear that, but you saw everything else. You know, you don't need to know it's raining outside when somebody comes into the courtroom covered in water, carrying an umbrella, wearing a raincoat. You know it's raining outside. Like, they're going to drive home the point of circumstantial evidence is incredibly powerful. And don't let this person walk just because of that. If the prior trials are any indication of the track record of these prosecutors, I think they've got this well in hand, and I don't think they're at all bothered by the idea that this is a circumstantial case.
Right. Oh my word. And the prosecution has done so well over and over and over again. I quite like watching that. Just that, like, slow and steady burn all the way to the top. This is going to be very good as well. Texas 2 Pug said, how strong is the case against Donna? Do you think it's a slam dunk?
I've been doing this so long that I don't think anything's a slam dunk, because even the things I think are slam dunks don't come back the way I think they will. But I would say that, again, to my point, they've got a lot of evidence. The prosecution has demonstrated that they are incredibly qualified to bring home a conviction on this case. And I am expecting that they will do that in this case as well.
Interesting. Let me quickly answer. Tom Hartley, thank you for the sticker. Beautiful black cat. You said, we are not going to convict her for being lame pre-trial, are we? Have we met? You said, Grizzlies wait for juries. Do we, though? This is social media, and we are the internet. So we can't say we, because we're not a cult. We're just the internet with many opinions. And if you feel she's guilty, I think she's guilty, but let's see what the jury decides, right? That'll be my answer for that one. Now, I know we've only got 1 minute, Josh. So please tell us where you're going to be next. I know you have so many places to be. So where you're going to be next, what you up to, where can people find you?
Well, tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Courtroom Confidential. I'm going to be doing our regular Wednesday night live feed. I don't have it figured out yet. We usually really have these things worked out in advance, but we've been so busy that we don't know who our guest is. Maybe I'm going to bug you. I don't know. Don't be shocked if we bug you. Yeah. But we're probably going to be talking about Wendi and some other cases going on. And then, we try to do we have tried our best to kind of be very regular with our content. So we do lives Mondays and Wednesdays, and then we have a Saturday, which is kind of a weekly roundup. And then Sunday is our Sunday Fun Day, where we answer questions that people have left us voice messages on throughout the week. Yeah, leave us a voice message. Gisela has left us a message that was quite a treat. And
I have another one. I'm going to do another one
on Sunday. You do another one. I love it.
Yes,
it's become very fun.
Today.
It's a very fun show. We cover a lot of different topics, and we have a good time. So Sunday.
And do you play them in order of how you receive them?
Yeah, because I cannot. It's hard enough for me to keep everything straight that if you ask me to juggle around between all the recordings, I think I'd lose my mind. So yeah, I just go in the order that people left them.
Get them in early, Grizzlies. Today is, what is it, Tuesday? And you're going to do it on Sunday. Get in the front of that queue. I know I'm going to. I'm going to submit my question after this. Charlie says, pick me, says Grizzly. I did say it. And I told Josh years ago on that Sidebar podcast, I'll be your emergency contact.
I love it.
You can call on me. I'll be there. So if you would like me to be there tomorrow, then Grizzlies, you'll know where to find me.
Love it.
But there's no pressure, no obligation. I'm just saying I'm available if you need me. Inviting myself, sis. So Pixie Dust said, I love Sunday Fun Day. Also, what else did I want to say? Okay, so you're going to be streaming the trial on your second channel.
Right.
You're going to be going live tomorrow with your Wednesday Night Live. Sunday Fun is coming up. Love the weekly roundups. It's so helpful because it's all the main news from the week that you put into one episode. And you premiere it, right? It's so good. So, yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Courtroom Confidential yet, there it is. It's linked in the description box. It's been linked throughout this live stream. And you can find Josh there. You can find him all over the place. You're a legal contributor all over the place. And we have to fight for you these days. So thank you so much for spending an hour here with us. I really appreciate it. And well, I'm looking forward to discussing this trial with you again at some point. Maybe along the way.
Be a wild one.
We shall see.
Be a wild one. Yeah, hit me up.
So everyone, if you have questions for Josh about this case, then you know where to submit those, right? You go to the website and you submit your questions for your Sunday Fun Day. Is that where they can ask, or are there other places they can ask? Maybe in your comment section?
Yes, leave us a message. I know a lot of people get nervous about it, but I think everybody has a fun time, and it's kind of fun to hear your voice. And we put you on the map. That's the other thing we do, is you tell us where you're from, and we put you on the map, and it's fun. It's a fun time.
I love it. So thank you so much. I'll quickly play the outro. I'll see you behind the scenes for a second. And everyone, I will definitely see you all very soon. I'm going to be on Court TV later again at all hours of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning for me. So you guys can find me there later if you want to. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Let me just find my outro. Bye, everyone.